Hey, Money Grubs. This is the Stock Roach. Um, I don't really have anything going on today, but I guess I just wanted to share this question that a Money Grub asked me recently, which was basically like, what should you do if every single dream you've ever had kind of like falls apart all at the same time? And I thought this was a really interesting question as an investor because when you think about it, money is really just a big dream. It's just a dream that we're all having at the same time. So, if you have any advice for the money grub who is in this situation, you can leave it in the comments and I'll pass it along to him or her because we don't know if it's a guy or a girl who asked the question. But I was thinking, like, when I'm in a situation, I find a lot of comfort um, in the ancient tales of old. Like, there's this one story I know that is told all over the world in almost every different culture. Um, and it's a story about a lake. And the lake is filled all the way to the brim with the most beautiful blue water. And there's a fisherman who lives by the lake, and his favorite thing to do in the whole world is to go fishing in the lake. And in the version that I know, he always wears his favorite green hat. Maybe in the version you know, his hat is a different color. But he loves fishing by the lake. But the problem is that where he lives, it's so hot every day that he can only go fishing at night. Which is a problem because where he lives, it's also dark at night, which is true where most people live, unless you live in the southern hemisphere where it's dark during the day. Uh, but because it's dark at night, he can only go fishing by the light of the full moon. And so every single night he looks out his window because he has a little house pretty close to the lake, and he's like, "Oh, is it a full moon tonight?" And if it's not a full moon, then he's like, "Okay, I'll just go back to bed." But if it is a full moon, um, then he goes out fishing in his boat, and the boat is shaped like this. And he loves to go fishing in his boat by the light of the full moon, and he loves it so much that he starts to think of the moon almost like uh, almost like maybe his best friend or one of his best friends. Like probably the moon is his second best friend next to his dog because in every version of the story, there's a lot of differences, but there's always a dog in the story. That's one of the things they all have. And obviously, the dogs love fish. So if you're a fisherman, you want to have someone to share your fish with. So it's great to keep a dog around. Now, the dog can really be any different kind of dog in the different versions of the story. In my version of the story, the dog is basically this color. But after a while, uh, when he's been fishing for a long time, the fisherman starts to realize that he's basically like literally actually in love with the moon. And so what he does is he buys the most beautiful. What he does is he takes all the fish that he has ever caught, and he has them all in one big pile. For 100 years, he's been fishing, and he's put every single fish he's ever caught into a pile. and he takes all of these fish and he takes them to the marketplace and he buys the most beautiful ring that fish money can buy. And the ring is so beautiful that everyone who sees it cries, which is really just him and his dog who can see it. And what he does to give the ring to the moon is he ties it to the end of his fishing wire and he winds up his arm and he gets ready to throw it as high as he can so that it will go all the way up into the night sky, all the way up to the moon. And while he's winding up, he's about to throw the ring. The moon is like, hey, by the way, I'm actually not attracted to fishermen. And, like, she doesn't say it all dismissive like that. Really, she's more like, hey, there's actually this other moon that I know, and you know her too, and I have a crush on her, and I think I'm in love with her. And it's not her fault, because she didn't know that he had a ring tied to his fishing stick, and he was about to throw it up into the sky. But the fisherman is pretty cool about it. He's just like, cool, you know, good for you. I'm really proud of you. But then also he has to just like sit there for like an hour with a ring tied to the end of his fishing stick. So what the question really is what should he do with the ring? Like, should he just throw it into the lake forever, or like should he tie it to his dog's collar? Maybe, like, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, that seems like a pretty good option. But the reason children have loved this story for generations is because it's like a riddle that you have to solve. Like, what should he do with the ring? So if you have any ideas for what he should do with the ring, or what you would do with the ring in your version of the story, you can let me know in the comments. And what this all has to do with investing is that when you do a drawing, sometimes you can sell that drawing to a museum for $1 billion, but you don't know how much you can sell your drawing for until after you've done the drawing. So make sure to keep drawing every single day if you can, and I will be talking to you again pretty soon. All right, stock-a-doodle-doo.